infinite limits and limits at infinity. Well, there are cases wherein when you look into the graph of a particular function, may mga pagkakataon daw na napapansin natin na the values of y just keep on increasing without ending or without bound. So parang ito, well, makikita mo na tuloy-tuloy siya sa pag-increase. That arrow can suggest to you. It keeps on increasing. Meaning to say, if this is left of, if this is 0, as you notice that is 0, and this is right of 0, and this is left of 0, okay. Now, what happens to y as x gets closer to 0 from the right? Notice also here that the values of x just keep on increasing. However, it gets closer and closer to 0 from the left. Papunta siya sa left. Okay? Papunta siya sa right, pero limitado lang siya. Lalapitan niya lang ang 0. And you see the movement of y values. The pairing. Nakikita niyo yung pairing, the ordered pairs. These are the pairs. Okay. So what happens to y as x gets closer to 0 from the left? The questions like that will now lead you, based on the graph. Graphically speaking, the limit here is not as what you expect. Well, you don't know the exact limit. Hindi mo nga alam kung ano yung nangyayari sa y values. Kung titignan mo parang yung graph niyan, that is a graph of f of x is equal to 1 over x, where that is a rational function. Okay? Now, we begin by analyzing the graph, sabi niya. The graph on the right. Kapag ang ginawa mo dito ay nilalakihan mo, sabi niya, you observe that the values of x here, you are increasing the values of x. Or sasabihin mo, well, that is increasing, so x just keeps on approaching positive infinity, or x keeps on increasing. Well, you have the idea already about positive infinity and negative infinity because of in general mathematics, we really intended to introduce to you this one during the interval notation. Well, I know that you're aware of it already. So I'll get through it na. I'll get directly to it na, no? I'll direct you na. So, ano daw ang ginagawa ng f of x habang ang x ay patuloy lang sa pag-increase? You see there? This one, from 1 becomes 2, then this is 5, 8, 9, 10, 200. What if gawin mo yan 1 million? What if gawin mo siyang 1 million? So that this will now be, y will become 1 over 1 million. And what happens? Sabi niya. Okay, so ano napansin mo? Sabi niya. Okay, now in the table, you can observe that when you keep on increasing x, the values of f of x get closer and closer to 0. Pag nilalakihan ng x, ang y ay lalapit at lalapit lang siya sa 0. At bakit kaya? Okay. Ano ba ang pinagbabawal ng 1 over x? Rational. Sa kanya, gamitin mo na lahat ng real numbers, huwag lang 0, sabi niya. So you can enjoy all real numbers from the left of 0, enjoy all real numbers from the right of 0. Huwag na huwag mo lang daw gamitin ng 0. sabi niya. So, iiwasan niya ang 0, that is x. Making it true, class, that x equals 0 is what we call the vertical asymptote. Or get to know rational function again. You solve this. Ang dami niyong examples ng GenMath about this. And I want you to recall, refresh. And this will help you understand. What about in the range? Okay. In the range, ano yung bawal? Ano yung hindi pwedeng, hindi mangyayari na maging, tinatawag nito, value of y. So from f of x that is equal to 1 over x, you let f of x be equal to y. So this is 1 over x. Cross multiply. So you have xy is equal to 1. Solve for y in terms of x. When you are solving for y in terms of x, then you are looking into the limitations. Solve for x in terms of y. Just for you to know what value of y will not give a real value x. So, ibig sabihin, x is equal to 1 over y. Just for you to know, okay, para daw malaman mo kung ano yung bawal na gamitin na value ng y so that x is defined. Meaning to say, y should not be 0. So it means, class, therefore, that the range of f of x is equal to 1 over x is a set of all real numbers excluding 0 or just except 0. Tanging 0 lang ang hindi pwede maging result for y, sabi niya. So anong ibig sabihin nito? Meaning to say, y equals 0 is what we call the horizontal asymptote. Now, I'll go directly to you, class. I want you to recall the rational function, the domain and range of rational function. Because this, I told you last week, na kapag rational or you encounter division, in a division, ang dami niya pang pwedeng maging rules. And I'm just glad that you had a very good raw scores during the second quiz, and I commend you for that. What I want you to do now is to understand more. Now that you know, or you knew already, the basic limit, the indeterminate forms, alam mo na yung how to conjugate, to factor out, you know the limits for trigo, the indeterminate trigo, sine, cosine, tangent, and your score can be an evidence that you really did well. Now, it's a new story. What I want you again is to recall the rational function kasi ang mangyayari dito, it will lead you to another limit rules. Okay? So ayan siya. Kapag babalikan natin yung infinite na yan, yung horizontal, vertical na yan, domain and range na yan ng rational function, magpapakita ang asymptotes. We have the vertical asymptote x is equal to 0 because that x that is equal to 0 is not allowed in the set of domain, or is not part of the input values of 1 over x. The horizontal asymptote y is equal to 0 just signifies y that is equal to 0 is never a resulting value for any input x. So it means to say now, the existence of infinity leads you also to the existence of asymptotes. Ang ibig sabihin daw nito, class, kapag may infinity, may asymptotes. At bakit kaya? Dahil simple lang ang sinasabi nito, class. When the y values just keep on increasing, kung ang isang y value ay patuloy lang sa pag-increase, posible daw na may asymptotes. Always. It's always. Okay? Imagine mo na lang si tangent. Or parang ganito siya, not specifying the function. Parang ito. So kung may mga asymptotes yan na ganyan, then posibleng mangyari na may graph na paganyan. So iiwasan niya, kaya nga asymptote Madalas ay iiwasan nila ang asymptotes. Ayan. So ibig sabihin, dahil iniiwasan mo yan, and then tuloy-tuloy lang ito sa pag-increase. Di siya mag-stop. Tuloy-tuloy lang siya. Tuloy-tuloy lang yan sa pag ah, lapit ng lapit dyan kay asymptote. Just like you walking. When you're walking let's say for example, when you are biking. Diba? I just I just had that kanina. Nagbike ako kanina. And then, kapag papunta ka sa road, hindi mo pwedeng banggain ang tawag dito, hindi ka pwedeng pumunta sa pinaka, or you will not touch the yung bakod mismo. For example, you are in a bridge, hindi mo yan matatouch kapag nagbabike ka, dahil pag ginawa mo yun, ma-aksidente ka. So ano nangyayari? Nilalapit-lapitan mo lang yun, dahil you don't supposed to bike at the center because that's for vehicles. You supposed to bike right there sa gilid lang, doon ka lang mag-ride. Pero in reality, yung dulo na yan ng bridge can also serve as an asymptote. How? Kasi you should not cross to that. You should not. Even if when you are riding, nagmamaneho kayo, hindi ka pwede mag-cross. Hindi ka pwede mag-overtake. Yun ang ibig sabihin sa realidad. Hindi ka pwede mag-overtake. Because that is already a rule that you should take your lane. Okay? So, what are you going to do therefore? Then follow the rule of asymptotes. Ganun lang din ang ginagawa ng limits class. What's your limit if there is an asymptote? Okay, my limit may as well be infinite. Okay, now, if there is an infinite limit, then what will happen? Okay, and then there might be asymptotes. Kasi may iniwasan ka, kaya ka naging infinite kasi may iniwasan ka. Yun ang ibig sabihin niya. Okay? Iniiwasan mo yung isang linya, sabi niya. Okay, now let's move to let's understand more of these infinite limits. Mapapansin mo din daw dito, okay, that as x gets closer to 0 from the left, okay, x gets closer from 0, and then I think this must be right. Okay, this must be right. As x gets closer to 0 from the right, and then tinan nyo kasi itong movement, it gets closer, no? Papalapit siya na papalapit sa 0 from the right. Pero ano nangyayari sa f of x? Lumalaki siya. Dahil in reality class, when it comes to fraction, can you imagine this? What? 1/2, 1/3, 1/5, 1/10. And now you observe the denominator. 2, 3, 5, 7. What's the pattern? Is it increasing? Well, it is decreasing when you are moving there. Papunta ka sa left. It is increasing when it comes to denominator. When you're moving, you go to the right. However, when it comes to value class, ang sinasabi nito, kapag ini-increase mo ang values ng x from 1/x, ang values of y magiging 0. Y gets closer to 0. Di ba yun ang sabi ng una? Pero, kapag ang values ng x ay dinidecrease mo at nilalapitan mo ang 0 galing ka sa right niya, ang values ng y ay mag-i-increase. Kasi nakikita mo class, mag-start ako 1/10. Sino mas malaki? Is it 1/5 or 1/10? Isn't it 1/5 is greater than 1/10? What if liitan ko pa 1/2? Clear, 1/2 is greater than 1/5, which is greater than 1/10. Liitan ko pa, let's say 1/1/2, which this is 2 already. And then the more it's obvious that 2 is greater than 1/2, which is greater than 1/5 or greater than 1/10. And what about if I have 1/1/10? Then this would now be 10. Then 10 is greater than 2. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng infinite limit class. What happens? Ang sabi niya, lakihan mo. Liitan mo. Lakihan mo lang. Just increase. Then what happens to y? Now, just decrease. What happens to y? So that is now an introduction to infinite limits and limits at infinity. Now let's have the definition of the two. In the definition, ang sabi niya, when the values of x keep on increasing as x approaches a certain value. When a value of x, sabi niya, f of x just keep on increasing as x values, okay, approaches a certain value. So ito ang sinasabi natin, ang f of x ay tuloy-tuloy lang siya sa pag-increase. Okay? Habang ang x ay nilalapitan niya ang certain value. Let's say that certain value is represented by c from either side. Let's say for example, it approaches c from the left, approaches c from the right, right and then left, and the limit is equal to positive infinity. Meaning to say now, class, it may happen that when f of x, okay, kapag ang nangyari daw, f of x just keep on increasing or decreasing, then you may say, okay, specific, that keeps on increasing, then sasabihin mo daw, positive infinity. Why do you need to tell that? Because you are now referring to the behavior. How does f of x behave as x gets closer to c from the left, where c is a certain value of x? However, ito naman, when keeps on decreasing as x approaches a certain value. So, nangyari naman dyan, then limit of f of x, let's say for example, x just keep on approaching c from the right, then you may say that's negative infinity. And this negative infinity just indicates an ending decrease of number, just keep on decreasing. Okay, now why do we use equal sign? Okay, take note, my reference here is Rex Bookstore Basic Calculus, and that is authored by halimaw siya sa math, summa cum laude of BS Mathematics of UP Diliman. If you find it, I would recommend it to you, pero pag binasa nyo yung libro Rex Basic Calculus, get ready to read and read. You don't read it once only. You read it 3 times. Why? Una, medyo malalim yung terms niya. Pangalawa, you don't get the idea in reading once. You need to read it at least 3 times. For me, in my case, I would say I need to read it 3 times because ang lengguwahe niya ay minsan hindi mo pa na-meet. What I mean here is dun mo marirealize mo na ay ganun pala yung tinutukoy niya, and then ang sasabihin niya sa'yo ay mabilisang pag-intindi pala. And I hope when you encounter that book, then you will feel the same. That's Rex Basic Calculus, summa cum laude of BS Mathematics, UP Diliman. Okay? I'm recommending books if you want to. But if you have books from your ate, kuya, pinsan who are engineers or nag-aaral ng engineering, and then they have books, ask them, they can give you. Ask their notes, you can review. It's the best thing to do. Alam kong marami kayong kilala. Okay? Gawin niyo yan. It can help you. Okay. Now, again, we put quotation mark for equal because what we mean here that we don't treat this limit statement as an actual equation. That's not an actual equation because infinity does not represent an actual number. Take note of that. This is not an actual equation. That's not an actual equation. That is just a representation of a behavior because infinity is not a number. Okay? So when you are asked what's infinity, then that's a behavior of a certain value that keeps on increasing or decreasing without bound. So an ending. How could you determine the limit, and when that's an ending, then you can just say infinite limit. Okay. The infinite limit is this. Ganyan. The limit is infinite. The limit can be positive infinity or negative infinity. We call this one as infinite limit. Okay? Kasi marami ang nalilito. What is limit at infinity and infinite limit? Okay. Now let's go through. Now how do we describe positive infinity and negative infinity as a limit? Okay, these are infinite limits. Well, an infinite limit is limit equal to positive infinity or negative infinity. It just symbolizes a behavior of the function whose values grow without bound in magnitude. Well, positive infinity for positive values and negative for negative values. Well, ang understanding kasi dyan, class, kapag sinabi mong negative infinity, dahil tuloy-tuloy lang siya sa pag-decrease, then definitely majority values will now move to negative values. While when you keep on increasing, natural, that will keep on having positive values. Kaya minsan, you attach the term positive values for positive infinity. Okay? So, ayan. This must be positive. Okay? In symbol, we have limit of 1 over x as x approaches 0 from the right, and that's positive infinity. So, para if we go back to the graph, here, makikita mo na kapag nag-i-increase ang values ng 0, nagdi-decrease. Okay, when x approaches 0 from the right, ibig sabihin, class, you are decreasing the values of x kasi you are getting closer to 0. Ibig sabihin, papunta ka dyan, pag ganun ka. Okay? So, pag x approaches naman 0 from the left, ibig sabihin, you are increasing the values. Bakit? Kasi papunta ka sa right. Papunta ka kay 0, pero galing ka sa left. Ibig sabihin, you're moving to the right. Ang indication lang nitong positive on top is just to tell you, nanggaling siya sa right, pero papunta siya dun kay 0. O bakit siya decreasing? Kasi nga, galing ka sa right at lalapitan mo ang isang number. So, nagdi-decrease dapat ang number. So, let's say for example, 5. O di gawin mong 4, 3, 2, o 0.0001 kasi you're getting closer to 0. At anong ginagawa ng y values? Y keeps on increasing. Kita mo yan? That's an indication na y just keep on increasing. And what else is the indication? There is a vertical asymptote, x is equal to 0. At tinan naman natin ang behavior ng isa. Y just get x values get closer to 0 from the left. What happens to y? Y just keep on decreasing. And you see the indication of the graph. Kahit ano ang gawin mo, class, kahit magbigay ka ng number na negative 0.00000001, kapag lalapitan mo ang 0 from the left, the number is always negative. So, ibig sabihin, 1 over that, because you have 1 over x. So, what will happen therefore? And that negative sign just always indicate your answer will always be negative. Making it true that y gets closer. No, y just keep on decreasing, and we talk about negative values. So, do you have questions, clarifications meantime? Before we proceed to the limit rules? But anyway, I think none at this point. But let's now meet the rules. Kasi I think it's on the rules that will prompt you to question. Okay. Of course, nilagay ko dito. Okay, parang binabasa ko yung mismong nilagay ko. Of course, we could have the two concepts at the same time. So, ibig sabihin, the concept of infinite limit and limited infinity can go together. Just like this. Ang ibig sabihin, there are cases wherein when x just keep on increasing, okay, baka nalit, di ba, this one is an indication of infinite limit. Okay? Pag lumabas ang positive infinity, negative infinity ang sagot, ibig sabihin infinite limit. Pero ang tinutukoy nito class is limit at infinity. So, minsan daw, they can go together. At in most cases, well, this is just a general assumption, no? A general rule that limit of f of x as x gets closer, x just keep on increasing without bound. then that is positive infinity. Okay, and the same happens also when you have increases without bound, decreases. We can also have this, no, decreasing naman siya. Okay, then posibilidad ay pwede daw mangyari yan. Okay, so ito nakikita mo dito, ito naman, oh, you see, limit at infinity versus infinite limit. If we go to the graph, okay, let me have a simple illustration of the graph again. Ang graph, ganito lang siya. Okay. Or should I have the calculator, the GeoGebra? The graph of y is equal to 1 over x. Ayan. Ayan siya. Ibig sabihin nito, class, when ilagay natin yung x is equal to 0. Okay. That is the vertical asymptote. Let me also let us have y is equal to 0. It is the horizontal asymptote. Okay. Let me remove the grid. Okay. Makikita mo dito, class, when you keep on increasing x values. Tingnan mo yung x values kapag increase mo siya. Anong ginagawa ng y? Ang y ba ay magkukross siya sa asymptote, that is x? Ang y ay magkukross ba sa horizontal asymptote, that is y equals 0? Whatever you do, it will never happen. But you can only say that y gets closer to 0. Kaya nga, ang limit at infinity dito, class, kapag in-increase mo ang x values tulad na pinapakita ng graph, ang y ay lalapit-lapitan niya lang ang 0. This is an indication that y just gets closer and closer to 0, the y values. And you see the graph can also tell you the behavior, graphically speaking. Well, ang performance task nyo is all about graphs, analysis of graph. I already uploaded a video. Yes, I think may nagsasalita. Yes? May nagsalita ba kanina? Wala. Okay. However, class, we can also say that the limit of 1 over x as x just keep on decreasing is also 0. Tingnan natin yung graph niya. Tingnan mo yung x values nito na negative. What happens? What happens to y? Magkukross ba siya sa y equals 0 na asymptote? Or limitado lang siya na nilalapit-lapitan lang niya ang 0? Well, that clearly shows analytically on the graph that y gets closer to 0 when x just keep on decreasing without bound. Okay? So, what about in the infinite limit? So, that's all about limit at infinity. What about infinite limit? O, papansinin mo daw kung paano mag-move. When x gets closer to 0 from the right, then what happens to the values of y? Ito naman, ang ibig sabihin, y just gets, just keep on, well, the y values just keep on increasing. Kaya tingnan natin yung graph. Pag tingnan mo yung movement, di ba? Ang ibig sabihin kasi ng right of y, we can also have a right of x. X is greater than 0. Ayan ang x that is greater than 0, highlighted in blue. So kung titignan mo ang values ng x na nilalapitan ng 0, in the pairing, so tinan mo to, pwede tayong maglagay ng point. O maglagay ako ng point dito. Bakit dun napunta? Wait lang. Ilagay ko dun mismo sa Maglagay ako ng point sa mismong graph. Ayan. So kung ipapakita natin yung value niyan, that is point A. Pag gagalawin natin yan, galing tayo dito. You see the ordered pair, 2.289, approximately 2.29. Tapos ang Y value niya is 0.44 approximately. Pag diliitan mo, i-decrease mo ang value ng Y, ulit have 1 and 1 na siya. Na kanina, pag dito tayo sa 2, ang Y pa lang ay 0.42623. Pero kapag dinecrease mo siya, pumunta ka sa 1, halimbawa, naging 1 na rin yung Y. Na paano kung i-decrease mo pa yung X? So what happens to Y? Naging 1.5, which is almost 1.51. What if you keep on decreasing X, but you are approaching 0? O, tingnan mo na nangyayari. Ibig sabihin, lumalaki at lumalaki ang value ng Y class. At hindi mo yan mapipigilan. Tuloy-tuloy lang yan. You can stop it. Okay? And that is an indication in the infinite limit. When you keep on increasing, not decreasing the values of 0, but as you approach 0 from the right, Y just keep on increasing. You see that? Okay, maglagay naman tayo ng isang point dito sa kabila. So, at this point, let's say, we showed the values, the coordinates. Ayan. Dito naman kay B, mapapansin mo siya na kapag dinidecrease mo naman ang values ng X, ay tuloy-tuloy sa pag-decrease ang values ng Y. Making it true that when X gets closer to 0 from the left, Y just keep on decreasing without bound. Ayan, the graph can tell you infinitely. Hindi natin kahit hanggang kamatayan na ito nakaka-zoom natin, hindi yan magi-stop, no, na pag-decrease. That is an indication on infinite limit. Okay? Kaya siya infinite on that case. This also tells us that the limit of 1 over x, as x gets closer to 0 from the left, well, y just keeps on decreasing, Y values. Okay? Well, this is just an introduction. We are not yet on the rules. This is just to appreciate you meantime through the illustration that's what we talk about, infinite limit and limit at infinity. Now, let's take a look on some of the rules. There are rules that you really need to understand. Yan siya, this is a summary. But anyway, class, I will place this one in the LMS. Before 9, makikita nyo na to. Okay? Just that, medyo nawawala ang signal ko kanina. But anyway, I'm having the lecture now. We have here the limit laws for limits at infinity. Okay. Suppose, sabi niya, there's always a condition. Suppose that limit of f of x is equal to L. Take note, class, L and M are real numbers. L and M are real numbers. Tandaan nyo to, kapag gumamit tayo ng variables sa L, M, B, kung ano man yung letter na yan, kung yan may Greek letter, we are referring to real numbers. Pero kung nakita mo na that's infinity, okay, then you know that these are not real numbers. But when we use variables, and these are real numbers. Ibig sabihin nito, class, we can go back, no, on the addition of limits. We can add the two limits, well, L plus M. In the subtraction of limits, do the subtraction again. Okay? In the multiplication, then you multiply the limits, and have the division, then you divide the limits. Let's say, for example lang, so let's say limit of f of x as x approaches negative infinity, for example. Okay, take note, this positive infinity can also be positive. You can also have negative in this case, class. Okay, because even negative infinity can also give you a real number. Okay, limit of f of x as x approaches negative infinity is equal to 2, and then limit of g of x as x approaches, let's say, negative infinity also is equal to 5. Then if you have addition, in addition, then 2 plus 5 is 7. In subtraction, let's say 2 minus 5 is negative 3. So in multiplication, 2 times 5 is 10. And when you divide, 2/5. Then you have to be very conscious lang naman on the operation. Well, that is, accept that as a basic operation and you can do that. Okay? Just not only that, there are cases na you really need to go to the rules. Yan, yung limit laws na yan ay pwedeng i-represent nito. So parang ito, class. O parang ito. Limit of 1 over x as x approaches 0. X keeps on increasing is 0. So you see, 0 is a limit, L. Or you can also have this, 0 ito. That is also a limit. Let's say M. So, yan ang sinasabi natin kanina sa rule. That kung ang x ay patuloy sa pag-increase at ang kanyang limit ay isang real number, okay? Ibig sabihin, pwede mong gawin yung operation na to. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. But take note, class. Take note of this. Pero, kung ang kanyang limit ay infinite or we have the infinite limit, hindi mo pwedeng gawin yan basta-basta, sabi niya. Bakit? Dahil magpapakita pa ang ibang rules. And yan ang pag-uusapan natin as we go through. Ulitin ko, hindi sapat ang isang oras para i-discuss lahat ito. So you expect for random schedules again, the way we do it last week. And I want it to be done as we continue, as we move through. Kasi ang daming topics sa calculus that 1 hour cannot be utilized to have all of this. Okay, let's have this rule. The limits at infinity of the constant and identity function. Napakasimple, class, ng constant function. Ano man ang gawin ng x values, mag-increase ka man, mag-decrease ka man infinitely, walang nagbago, siya pa rin yun. Actually, if you have a graph, so let's say for example, magbigay tayo ng graph ng isang constant function. Ang daming constant function eh. Let's say y is equal to 10. Let's have that as a constant function. Y is equal to 10. So, this graph, y is equal to 10. Kahit increase mo ang x, nagbago ba ang values ng y? I-decrease mo ang x, ang values, nagbago ba? Walang nagbago, class. It is always 10. Making it true that in the rule, that will always be 10. Whatever, that will always be constant. The way number 1 tells you, limit of 2 as x keeps on increasing is also 2. Walang nagbago. Pi, it's also pi. Negative 1, negative 1. Well, that is constant. Okay? Pero, pagdating naman kay identity function, class, gagayahin niya. Kung in-increase mo ang x, sabi niya, mag-i-increase din ako. Kaya sila identical. Literal, that x is equal to y. So, when that keeps on increasing, I will also do that. Sabi ng y. Kung sasabihin ng x, I will increase infinitely, then y will also do the same. Okay? Kaya nga tinan nyo itong number 4. X just keep on decreasing, sabi niya. So, what happens to this? Like, take note again, huwag kayo ma-confuse because that is a function. Ang function na yan is y is equal to x. Ibig sabihin, gagayahin niya. Nag-i-increase din, magdi-decrease din siya. This one is constant function, e plus 1. As x keeps on decreasing, is also e plus 1. But your question maybe is, what if nagsama silang dalawa? Paano kung naging 2 plus x? So what is the limit of 2 plus x as x gets, keep on increasing? This might be an interesting question. So what will happen therefore? Will it happen? Paano? Paano kapag ang ginawa mo, paghiwalayin mo, limit of 2 as x keeps on increasing plus limit of x as x keeps on increasing. And sabi natin, limit of constant is constant, so that is 2. And identity x will follow the way x, identity function y is equal to x follows the behavior of x. That when x keeps on increasing, that will also increase. So, paano ito? 2 plus positive infinity. What does it mean? Okay, that is another question. And as we go through, mamimit nyo sila. Okay? So, in number 6, let's say for example, I'll give you a problem. Number 7. Ay, bakit number 7? That must be this question. What is the limit of e raised to 3 plus 2 as x keeps on increasing without bound? Okay. May I know your answer? May you please comment your answer? I give you 10 seconds only. What is the limit of e raised to 3 plus 2 as x approaches positive infinity or x keeps on increasing? May I know your answer? 10 seconds. Okay, the answer here is positive. That is constant. The answer is the constant itself, e raised to 3 plus 2. Okay, that's constant function. Now, limits at infinity of a constant multiple of a function. Constant multiple of a function. So kapag nangyari that, we let C be non-zero constant, non-zero, ibig sabihin except 0, then you can have all numbers now. And limit of f of x as x approaches positive or negative infinity is equal to positive or negative infinity, then we can say that the limit, tinan nyo to, i-break down natin ito. Nakikita nyo yung pagkakaiba nila? This is positive, negative, this is positive, negative. Kapag ang C daw ay greater than 0, that is positive. Ang mangyayari, maggagayahan lang sila. When x approaches positive infinity, when x approaches or increases without bound, and C is positive, then ibig sabihin nito, positive infinity din. Katulad nito, katulad ng limit of 3x. As x keeps on increasing, the answer is still positive infinity. Kapag i-factor out mo, ilabas mo yung 3, sabi niya, ay hindi siya nakaka-apekto sa nangyayari sa value of x. So kapag binaliktad mo naman siya, x approaches negative infinity, the answer remains to be negative infinity. Okay? Pero, ibang kaso daw kapag ang C naman ay isang negative value. Dahil babalik ta rin niya. Kung x approaches positive infinity kanina, ang ilalabas na sa'yo ay negative infinity. Simple lang class ang ibig sabihin niya. Let's say for example, if you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, let's say 100,000, then tuloy-tuloy lang siya up to positive infinity. Paano kung gawin mong negative lahat yan? 'Di ba? May kakayahan si C na negative number na baguhin niya ang sign nilang lahat. Yun ang dahilan class na kapag ni-relate mo na, multiply mo si negative value C, babaguhin niya lahat ng values. So what will happen therefore? Instead na nag-increase yan, magdi-decrease siya. Yan ang dahilan kaya when x approaches positive infinity, okay, pairing ito class pairing ito. Kung nauna ay positive infinity, itong nasa taas din ang kanyang katumpas, negative infinity. Negative infinity ang pangalawa, positive infinity naman yung isa. Okay? Paano kung ang given numbers naman ay lahat ay negative numbers? So, halimbawa, negative 1, negative 10, negative 350, and then tuloy-tuloy siya di negative numbers. Kapag naglagay ka ng C that is negative, anong gagawin niya? Magiging inenegate niya lahat ang negative numbers. So what will happen here? Yan yung positive infinity na tinutukoy niya class. Dahil instead na puro negative na ang ipoprovide niya, lahat na ay magpa-positive numbers. Can you imagine that? Very literal ang sinasabi niya, no? Lahat magpa-positive numbers. So, if you have these examples now, With that idea now, class, you have the basic rules in multiplication. Dahil ang sabi ng basic rules in multiplication, ito ay isang clue. Most books do not give this kind of clue. But I did encounter this one, siguro dun sa Rex book ulit. Na kapag nangyari daw, positive times positive, tandaan mo, positive din ang kanyang katumbas. The basic multiplication, multiplying the product of same sign rule, okay, is positive. The similar is negative. Okay? Unlike signs is negative. So, in infinity, kapag pinag-usapan na natin ang infinity, ano man daw ang positive na constant kapag multiply mo? Ano man ang positive na constant kapag i-relate mo siya sa isang number na tuloy-tuloy sa pag-increase, ibig sabihin, mas mag-i-increase pa ang isang number. Dahil ang ibig sabihin nito, class, if, for example, you have 7, you have 10, you have, well, tuloy-tuloy na number yan. Kasi you have 350 at tapos nag-increase. Paano kung nag-multiply ka pa ng 3? O di mas mabilis ang pag-increase niya? Naging 21 na to, naging 30 na to. What about this? 0, 5, 1,050 na siya. Okay? Then, you see, the more that it will increase, yun ang sinasabi nito. Pero kapag may negative, and then i-integrate mo siya, i-multiply mo siya sa decreasing numbers, yan yung sinasabi natin. I-increase niya, babaliktad siya. If you have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, tapos may negative na constant, and then multiply mo yung negative, let's say negative 2 times that, negative 2 times that, and then you have still negative 2. What will happen? Then you will have positive 2, positive 4, positive 6. And when you keep on decreasing, then it corresponds to increasing because your constant is negative. Okay? And same will happen here. Positive times negative will always be negative, and negative times positive is negative. Now let's have the examples. You see this. 7 times x. Kapag yan ay factor out mo, ilabas mo yung 7, and you know the rule of identity. If this is negative infinity, then this will also keep on decreasing. A positive multiplied to negative is negative. Okay? O 5x. Factor out. An increasing number multiplied to positive 5. What will happen? Will it increase or decrease? Definitely it will increase. When a number keeps on increasing and you multiply a positive number, the more that it will increase faster. Yun ang literal lang ibig sabihin. Okay? A number that keeps on increasing multiply to a number that's negative, then what would you expect? It has the power to make it negative. Ganun lang. Okay? Oh, x yan. X that keeps on increasing. But then, there is a negative value here. A negative multiplied to set of negative. How do you describe the values? That will be positive infinity. Okay. Katulad nito, let's say magbigay ko ng graph. Graph ng isang exponential. Y is equal to 2 raised to x. Mali. 2 raised to x. 2 raised to x. Ayan. Ayan siya, di ba? Di ba positive na nakikita nyo? The set of numbers. As x keeps on increasing, y keeps on increasing too. Okay? Pero ang x keeps on decreasing, what happens to y? Y keeps on keeps on approaching 0. Okay? Pero kung yan ay set of positive numbers habang ang x ay nag-increase kasi nakikita mo nasa quadrant 1 na siya, no? Ibig sabihin y values are positive here. Paano kung nilagyan ko ng negative 2? Paano kung nag-multiply ako ng negative 3 times that? Paano kung nag-multiply ako? Negative 3 times that. Yan na class, kapag i-enter ko to, tinan nyo yung nangyayari. Kung positive infinity kanina si 2 raised to x, i-enter ko yan. Bumaba siya. Naging negative infinity. That is just a clear picture of what we are saying, the power of negative sign. And I want you to be very conscious on that. Be very conscious kay negative sign dahil ang dami niyang kakayahan. kilalanin mo siya, walang problema kay positive sign, kaya nga positive eh. Walang problema sa kanya. Kay negative sign kayo mabahala. Okay? As part of your review, pansinin niyong mabuti ang rules ni negative sign. And I hope that will help you.